We'll now move to question time, and I call Senator Mackenzie.
Thank you very much, Madam President. My question is to the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, Senator Watt. Yesterday in question time, when pressured on how many passengers have walked through sanitised foot mats, the minister said, and I quote, 100% of passengers have been walking through sanitised foot mats. The minister has clearly misled the Senate. In fact, tens of thousands of passengers have disembarked from Bali since the outbreak in Bali on July 5 and the installation of the foot mats only this week without footwear being disinfected. I wrote to the minister informing him of this misleading statement yesterday, and he still has not taken the opportunity to correct the record and make a ministerial explanation to the Senate. When will the minister do the honourable thing and correct the record to the Senate?
Senator Watt, Minister, sit down. Before I call the minister, I am going to ask that you respect the senator asking the questions and not interject, and that you listen to the minister's response. Minister.
Thank you, President. Well, that's a pretty sad way for this question time to start out today, given that I think on 3 or 4 occasions yesterday I actually answered the question that you are asking. I have received a letter from you, which I have signed a response to, and I'm sure that you may have even received it by now. Well, maybe talk to your office, but we certainly have signed off a response. And I will confirm yet again, I'm probably up to 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, that 100% of passengers who have returned to Australia from Indonesia since the foot mats were in place on Monday and Tuesday. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Order.
Wow. Wow.
Order.
Is this what you've become? Is this what you've become? Is this what you've become?
Minister, resume your seat. Order. Senator Ayres. Order. 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 Senator Birmingham. Senator Ayres, I had just called the Senate to order and you interjected. I would appreciate you following my order when I call for order, that you do not interject. Senator Watt, please continue.
Thank you, President. It is rather interesting that only since the election and they went into opposition that the opposition became interested in foot mats, because, of course, this outbreak reached Indonesia on the 9th of May. What did the opposition do about foot mats or biosecurity zones or any of the things that we've done in response to the outbreak? Well, I'll tell you what they did. The former minister, Mr Littleproud, when the outbreak reached—
Sorry.
Come on.
Senator Watt, Minister, resume your seat. Senator Brockman.
Relevance, and come on, Senator Watt. Answer the question. Do not attack the opposition.
Senator Brockman, just a moment, please. I'm not quite clear what your point of order was. Can you go directly? Yeah.
I apologise for responding to Senator Watt's interjection. However, I was making a point of order on direct relevance. This is not an opportunity to attack the opposition or previous government policy.
Resume your seat. Order. 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 Senator Wong and Minister Watt. Minister Wong, the question was about foot mats. The minister was directly referring to foot mats. As you know, I cannot, Minister Watt, I haven't called you, that I cannot direct a minister on how to answer a question, but he is being directly relevant to the question, which was about foot mats. Minister. Order. Senator McGrath, let's allow the minister to continue the answer. Minister.
As I was saying, I'm pleased that the opposition has become interested in foot mats because when this outbreak reached Indonesia on the 9th of May, what did the former Minister for Agriculture, Mr Littleproud, do? Did he introduce foot mats? No. Did he introduce biosecurity response zones? No. You know what he did? He sent a tweet. He sent a tweet. That is the only thing Minister Littleproud did at the time. And then he didn't say anything until the 6th of July.
Watt. Senator Mackenzie.
Madam President, this is actually a grave matter that this minister on
Senator
the first
Mackenzie,
day
what's your
has my
point of
question
order?
direct relevance.
Thank you.
This minister has misled the Senate and is not
Senator
dealing
Mackenzie,
with it in his question.
Please resume your seat. Minister Watt, there was a direct question about mats. I was giving you some latitude, but please get to the directness of the question, please.
Thank you, President. I have lost count of the number of times I have now answered this question. I did it repeatedly yesterday, again today,
Senator
and in the letter
McGrath.
today. Former Minister Littleproud was not the only person to say nothing about foot mats or the outbreak until it got to Bali.
McGrath.
We heard nothing from Senator Mackenzie until the July the 19th. She didn't comment once when it got to Indonesia.
Senator Mackenzie, a first supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. I refer Senator Watt to his statement to the Senate yesterday that Australia has, and I quote, approximately 1 million vaccines available to us in a stockpile, and they are available within 1 week's notice, end quote. Given this fact, why won't vaccines be delivered to Indonesia, who's going through an uncontrollable outbreak, for more than 4 weeks, as first advised, and not arriving till August, as you informed the Senate?
Minister Wong.
Just on a point of order, I'd ask you to rule as to whether that's in fact supplementary to the primary question. If the minister wishes to answer, obviously it's a matter for him, but that is not in my submission supplementary to the primary question.
Thank you, Senator Wong. Senator Birmingham.
President, on the point of order, both the question and the supplementary question relate to the foot and mouth disease outbreak in Indonesia. Both of them relate to answers given by Senator Watt in question time yesterday on the same related issue. It is demonstrably a supplementary question to the primary question, and you should rule Senator Wong's point of order out of order.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. I'll take some advice. Thank you. Given there's been different views expressed by Minister Wong and Senator Birmingham, we think that I'm advised that the question is broad enough to allow that first supplementary, but I will review the Hansard and, if necessary, come back to the Senate with an answer. But I would invite the Minister to respond.
Thank you, President. I'm happy to take the question. It seems that the opposition...
Senator McGrath. Minister. Thank you. Senator Brockman.
President, I mean, direct relevance. The minister cannot start an answer with the opposition. I mean, that is a
Senator Brockman, please resume your seat. Senator Brockman. Senator Brockman, I've asked you to resume your seat. Senator Brockman, I have asked you to resume your seat. Thank you. Order. The senator has just commenced his answer, so we will see where he goes in the next breath. He's barely said 2 words. Minister.
Thank you, President. As I was saying, we have ordered vaccines for Australia, and we have them in the vaccine bank to ensure that we are properly prepared for a foot and mouth disease outbreak should it reach Australia. The former minister's question goes to
Senator
Indonesia
McGrath.
vaccines. Now, I know this might come as a surprise to the opposition because it's something they never practiced when they were in government, but when you work with other countries, you need to do it cooperatively. You actually need to develop a partnership relationship as opposed to the kind of relationship your government cultivated with our friends in Southeast Asia and the Pacific.
Senator McGrath.
So when the Prime Minister was in Indonesia, where he was very well received, I might point out, he offered assistance in the form of vaccines to the Indonesian government. At that point in time, they decided to pursue their own interests. We have since, as a result of my visit, offered $1 million and they're coming.
Senator Mackenzie, a second supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. Yesterday, the Minister said, and I quote, biosecurity officers will not only be deployed into airports, they will be deployed into mail centres as well. How many of the 18 new biosecurity officers are currently operational at mail centres? Which mail centres are they, and what is their specific foot and mouth disease passenger intervention task?
Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. I anticipated I might get a question about this because it came up yesterday. Would you like the answer?
Thank you. Thank you. Interjections across the chamber are disorderly. Please continue to answer the question, Minister Watt.
And my intention, as is normal practice, is to answer the questions that I took on notice yesterday at the end of question time today, which is what many ministers on your side of the chamber have done. The answer
McGrath.
is that my announcement was that our new funding that your government, when you were in power, did not commit and did not implement, will deliver 18 new biosecurity officers. They are currently being recruited, and in the meantime we have employed 65 contractors and 10 other officers in the meantime. Now, again, I make the point that every action we have taken, sanitation foot mats, biosecurity response zones, extra biosecurity officers, none of those measures were ever taken by your government when this outbreak got to Indonesia. All you did was send tweets.
Resume your seat. Senator McGrath, I have asked politely on a number of occasions that you not interject. Please desist with the interjections. They are disorderly. Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, President. And it's no wonder, with this calibre of debate, that industry is backing the government.
Thank you. The time has expired. Senator McGrath, I asked you just then, I directed you not to interject, and the minute the minister got up, you interjected again. It's not a debate. Senator McGrath, it is not a debate with me. It's a direct request. I'm asking you to stop being disorderly. Yes. Minister Wong.
If I may, President, I just wanted to, in relation to your previous point of order, perhaps refer you to Odgers and ask, and I do this also so that the opposition can be aware of the position of the government. In relation to the use of supplementary questions, President McClellan made a statement in which he said, supplementary questions are appropriate only for the purposes of elucidating information arising from the original question and answer. They are not appropriate for the purpose of introducing additional or new material or proposing a new question, even though such a question might be related to the subject matter of the original question. So I again, whilst I do note there's been some changes in standing order since that time, I would ask you, perhaps subsequent to question time, to consider that.
Thank you. Senator Birmingham.
And President, whilst undertaking that review, I would encourage you to look back at past consideration of questions that were asked. I think you will find that in terms of the relationship between the question that is asked and the supplementary questions, that oftentimes that relationship relates very specifically to the subject matter and the flow of then smaller issues related to those subjects. In this case, the discussion of foot mats and the discussion of vaccines being supplied to Indonesia clearly all relate to the foot and mouth outbreak and are following the very common practice since the process of having the primary question and 2 supplementary questions was introduced into this Senate.
Thank you, and I thank both leaders for that those comments, and as I said, I'll review the Hansard and come back to the Senate if necessary. Senator McKim.
Yes, if I could just on a point of order very briefly observe, President, that we're chewing up a lot of time at the moment. Question time yesterday had a very, very small number of questions asked because time was consumed with excessive points of order. I just simply ask senators, including Senator Wong and Senator Birmingham, to consider the passage of time while they are making their points of order.
Senator Kim, I can reassure you that during this current debate and points of order, the clock has been stopped. So, thank you. I think we're calling Senator Green. Senator Green.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. Can the Minister advise the Senate on the state of the economy following the Treasurer's economic statement today?
Senator Gallagher.
Thank you, Speaker, and I thank Senator Green for her interest in the economic situation across Australia and the Treasurer's ministerial statement that he made earlier today. It's true that we're facing a very challenging set of economic circumstances, both domestically and internationally. And the Treasurer, in his address to the House of Representatives today, delivered that message, but also importantly that the Australian economy is growing, but there are some challenges that need to be managed in the near term. We've been upfront with Australians about that since coming to government, and we will continue to be upfront and honest as new challenges emerge. Today, in the latest update of Treasury forecast, the Treasurer outlined that economic growth has been revised down by 0.5 percentage point for the next 3 years, I think. Inflation is expected to peak at 7.75% by the end of the year, and that the inflation challenge obviously has an impact on the outlook for real wages and real wages growth. The forecasts also show with inflation, with real wages, it will get worse before it gets better, but that it will get better. The current expectation is that inflation will indeed get worse this year, moderate next year and normalise the year after. The Treasury forecasts also show that real wages are expected to stabilise mid-next year before growing again in 23-24. When it comes to the budget, Speaker, whilst the final results for the 21-22 financial year are likely to show an improved, a better than improved expected outcome compared to what was released at PFO. However, temporary factors like supply chain disruptions, capacity constraints and extreme weather have delayed some spending, and low unemployment and volatile commodity prices boosted revenue. The short, medium and longer-term pressures on the budget are more pronounced.
Thank you, Senator Gallagher. Your time has expired. Senator Green, first supplementary.
Thank you, President. Can the Minister advise how the challenges in the economy are impacting Australians?
Thank you, Senator Green. Senator Gallagher.
Thank you, Speaker, and I thank Senator Green. And this was, we absolutely understand the impact that this is having on Australian and Australian households, and it's why we're being really upfront with the Australian public, because Australians are up for that. They want honest government. They don't want a government of spin and of pretending things are fine when they're not. They want a government that understands the challenges they're facing, that household budgets are stretched, that bills are going up, that wages aren't matching that. They've had 10 years of stagnant wages growth at best. They've had 9 years of a government with missed opportunities and wrong priorities. And this government is going to be clear about what the challenges are and clear about the plan to manage those challenges and to help households deal with that. But we're not going to pretend that 9 years of neglect and poor government can be reversed overnight.
Thank you, Senator Gallagher. Your time has expired. Order. Order. I've called Senator Green. Second supplementary. Thank you, Senator Green.
Thank you, President. What are the government's plans to deal with these challenges?
Senator Gallagher.
Thank you, Speaker.
Senator Smith.
I know responding to interjections is disorderly, but from the interjections I have managed to hear whilst I've been talking, they will be interested in the answer to this question. Despite what some of them, those opposites say, we do have a plan to deal with the economic challenges we face, and One of the plan is to deal with the waste and rorts that you riddled through your budget. The waste and rorts, billions of dollars, the pork barrelling, the buying of seats, the buying of votes. That's part of our plan as we reorganise and reprioritise the budget. But we have concrete plans: childcare, cheaper medicines, cheaper and cleaner energy. We've got plans to grow wages. You get that? Grow wages, not hold wages back, which is what you did. Grow wages. Invest in skills. Make sure that our people are ready for the jobs of the future. These are what responsible government should be doing for the past 10 years and what we're going to do now.
Has expired, Minister. Thank you. Senator Chandler.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Youth, Senator Watt. Tuesday night on the 7:30 program, the Prime Minister said, "We intend to honour our promises." The Prime Minister promised on the 3rd of December last year that Labor's policy, quote, "will see electricity prices fall from the current level of $275 for households by 2025, end quote. Minister, with young Australians impacted by cost of living pressures, will the government honour this promise?
Minister Watt.
President, I do question whether that's an appropriate question for me.
Order.
No.
Order. Order. Please resume your seat, Minister. Order. Order. Minister Wong.
Thank you. If I make, I do point of order in terms of the addressing of the question to a minister. I understand that the opposition used the word youth. The policy, which was referred to in the question, is not within Minister Watt's portfolio. It's within Minister Bowen's portfolio, and that would be the appropriate minister. Who's the minister representing that? It's me, I think.
Senator Wong. Senator Birmingham, are you on a point of order?
I am, President. Very, very briefly, mindful of Senator McKim's observation. The question didn't reference a specific policy. The question referenced the promises of the now government and the now Prime Minister, and it referenced those promises in the context of cost of living pressures specific to young Australians. Senator Watt represents the Minister for Youth in this place and therefore should answer questions relevant to young Australians.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. I'll just confirm. I think Senator Watt is comfortable to take the question.
Shall I?
Minister Watt, I'm going to ask Senator Wong to confirm that who the repping Minister for Youth is. Minister Wong, I'm just wishing to ascertain that the repping Minister for this question is Minister Watt.
Minister wishes to. I was actually trying to be helpful to the opposition. I know, believe it or not, to say I'm very happy for them to. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. If I could finish my sentence. Oh. No, I was just going to say, if you want to readdress the question to the appropriate minister, I will take the question. If you wish to persist with it to Minister Watt, it's a matter for him to answer.
I think at this point there's been no redirection from Senator Chandler, so I invite Minister Watt to respond to the question.
Thank you, President. I'm always happy to talk about our plan to bring down energy prices and your utter failure to do so in the 10 years that you were in government. Unlike the opposition, the government has a plan. It's probably one of the reasons we won the election, is that we actually had a plan going forward to bring down power prices in the way that we promised. The best thing about that is that at the same time, not only will our plan bring down power prices, something that you were incapable of doing over 10 years, we will also bring down emissions, something that you didn't believe in doing for 10 years, let alone achieve, and we will create over 500 or 600,000 of jobs. There's so many I can't remember the exact figure. That's how many jobs we will intend to create, including 5 out of 6 in regional Australia.
Senator McGrath.
Our plan will help young people
Senator
with their power
McGrath.
prices. Our plan to lift wages will help young people, especially because of the number of young workers who work in industries like hospitality, retail, minimum wage jobs. And what did those people get from a Labor government? They got a government that supported a wage rise, something that you weren't prepared to do for the 10 years that you were in government. So our policies will bring down youth prices, something you couldn't do.
Resume your seat. Senator Birmingham.
President, point of order on question of direct relevance, and indeed in the previous point of order I commented on, I highlighted the fact that the question didn't ask specifically about a policy of the government. It asked about a promise made by the now Prime Minister. That promise was that Labor's policy will see electricity prices fall from the current level by $275 for households by 2025.
Senator Birmingham, what's the point of order?
The question is the government going to honour that promise?
Thank you.
Promise?
Thank
Senator
you,
Watt is not addressing that precise promise.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. Senator Wong.
Well, on the point of order, this is precisely why the opposition should have readdressed the question. He's responding. No.
Order.
He's
Senator
not the
Cash.
minister representing the minister responsible for the policy position.
On the point of order raised by Senator Birmingham, I noted that order. The Leader of the Opposition has raised a point of order on the question which I am seeking to respond to. So, on the point of order, the minister is being relevant. It talked about electricity, it talked about promises, it talked about bringing prices down and young people. And in my view, the minister has been relevant. Minister Watt, please continue.
Thank you, President. We have every intention of delivering all of our election commitments, whether it be this one or any other commitment that we made, such as getting rid of the ABCC, such as establishing an anti-corruption commission, something you didn't do for the last 3 years, such as lifting minimum wages, something that has already happened under this government, and as I say, benefits younger people as well. Now, I might just note that not only did the former government fail to do anything about power prices in the 10 years that it was in government, it had the hide in the run-up to an election to actually hide from the Australian public how much those power prices were rising, because this mob over here will be the people who will be always remembered for hiding the increase in the default market offer price, which has increased power prices in New South Wales alone by up to 19%.
Minister Watt, your time has expired. Senator Chandler, your first supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. Minister, with cost of living pressures faced by young Australians travelling to work and study, will the government extend the reduction in the fuel excise?
Would government extend fuel excise?
Impossible to hear that question.
Senator
Could I ask
Watt,
for it to be...
direct it to me. If you require the question to be repeated, then simply ask me.
President, would you mind having the question repeated? It was impossible to hear due to the interjections.
Thank you. Senator Chandler.
Thank you, Madam President. I can oblige. Minister, with cost of living pressures faced by young Australians travelling to work and study, will the government extend the reduction in the fuel excise?
Senator Wong, is there a point of order?
Of order. Wrong minister and not a supplementary question.
Senator Birmingham, and then I'll come to you, Senator McKim.
Equally briefly, the question relates to young Australians, to the Minister representing the Minister for Youth. The question relates to cost of living pressures, as did the primary question.
I'm going to respond to that point of order. As I said, there's already a... Just to resume your seat, Minister. Order. There is a question before the chair on supplementaries. In the same way that I've agreed to look at that previous question, then we will look at this question and whether it relates to the primary question. And if it doesn't, we'll report back to the Senate. Senator McKim.
Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing
Sorry, Senator McKim, I beg your pardon. I thought you were on a point of order.
Oh, no, I'm trying to ask a question.
Right. We'll get to you. Thank you. Resume your seat. Thank you. Senator McKim, resume your seat. Thank you. Senator McKim, resume your seat.
No, the first one hasn't been answered.
Yeah. So, Richard, what? I advise the Senate that the question asked by Senator Chandler has been directed to Minister Watt, and he can only answer it within the broad depth of his policy area. And I think he had some time left, but I will check. Yeah, Senator Watt.
Well, unlike the opposition, this government cares about young people. But as to the specifics of this question, I refer them to the responsible minister.
Thank you, Senator Watt. Senator McGrath. Senator McGrath. Senator McGrath. Senator Chandler is entitled to have silence while she asks her question. Senator Chandler, second supplementary.
Order. Thank you, Madam President.
Order. Senator Wong. Senator Chandler, please continue.
Thank you, Madam President. The ABS confirmed yesterday that inflation has risen to 6.1%, the highest level in 20 years. When can young Australians expect the government to provide specific detail in measures to help them with cost of living pressures?
Minister Watt.
With the greatest respect, I think that is a question that's appropriately directed to the Minister representing the Minister for Youth, which is why I'm happy to give you an answer. Again, unlike the opposition—
Senator McGrath, take a breath, please. Minister Watt.
Unlike the opposition, this government does care about young people. It has a minister in place with programs for young people. And the best thing that we have already done in the short time that we have been in power for young people is ensure that they got an increase to the minimum wage because of the sheer number of young workers who are on the minimum wage, something that the opposition consistently refused to do. Remember about low wages were a deliberate design feature of the Australian economy under this mob? No wonder they lost the election, and no wonder young voters refused to vote for them in droves. So the two ways that you can deal with cost of living are bringing down costs, and that's what we fully intend to do with the promises that we put in place. The second way you can do it is by lifting wages, and everyone knows that will only happen under a Labor government. It will never happen under you mob.
Thank you, Minister Watt. The time has expired. Senator McKim.
Thank you, President. We'll try again, and finally. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. Minister, congratulations on your ministerial appointments. 2 weeks ago, the Australia Institute released research which showed that rising profits, not rising wages, are a primary driver of inflation in Australia. And earlier this week, former ACCC Chair Mr Rod Sims observed that in times of high inflation, companies in concentrated markets, which many Australian markets are, can use their market power to increase prices at a higher rate than their costs are increasing and further exacerbate inflation. Does your government accept that corporate profiteering is a primary driver of inflation in Australia? And if so, what are you going to do about it?
Senator Gallagher.
Thank you very much, Speaker, and I thank Senator McKim for the question. There's no doubt that inflation is the most significant economic challenge, or rising inflation, that Australians are facing across the economy. In terms of the drivers of that, I mean, I think we saw in yesterday's inflation figures from the APS, the main drivers behind that were dwelling costs and rising fuel costs were the major contributors to that. We have been very clear about our response to that. I mean, there are some things that we can do. Some of it is out of our control in relation to some of the international pressures that are coming from China, from the war in Ukraine, or China's COVID strategy and the war in Ukraine. They are definitely having impacts here locally. Domestically, where there are floods and some of those natural disasters that we've seen, some of the supply chain disruptions that we've seen, which are flowing on to higher costs for households. And the position that we have taken is that in order to respond to those, we need to assist households with long-term policy responses which support lowering costs, so power, prices, childcare, investing in skills, getting wages moving. They're the things that this government wants to do to deal with some of the reality of households dealing with rising costs and rising interest rates, which are hitting households so hard. That's the focus of Dr Chalmers and I as we work together to put forward our budget in October, but also over the longer term how we deal with some of the higher inflation and higher than expected inflationary impacts that we're seeing across the economy.
Thank you, Senator Gallagher. Senator McKim, first supplementary.
Thanks, President. Minister, the Treasurer has just told Australians that because the inflation is rising, they should brace for higher unemployment and further real wage cuts. But the Treasurer said nothing about what corporations who are earning record profits should brace for. Why is your government telling those who can least afford it to brace for yet more pain, yet we're hearing nothing at all from the Treasurer about what the profiteering corporations should brace for?
Thank you, Senator McKim. Senator Gallagher.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, I think what you saw from the ministerial statement is a very honest assessment from the Treasurer about what households are experiencing now and what they can expect in the future. And this has been part of I guess the different approach that we are taking to those of the previous government, where it was all about spin, short-term solutions and political fixes. I mean, the assessment today in the ministerial statement, and it will be followed up in the October budget, is giving people the best and latest information available to the government about what we expect to happen over the next year, updated, of course, in October. And I would say in relation, I think the government is going. I understand the point that Senator McKim is making, but the approach this government is taking is about pulling people together, working with each other to secure, to deal with some of the challenges. It's no longer this divisive game that's been played in politics about those that have and those that have not.
Senator McKim, a second supplementary.
Thank you, President. Minister, given corporate profits are at record highs, why has your government ruled out introducing a corporate super profits tax or taxes which could fund cost of living relief by providing high-quality, free public services to Australians, such as free childcare, truly free public education, and putting dental into Medicare and helping Australians address the cost of living crisis?
Thank you, Senator McKim. Senator Gallagher.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The government's position is that we will work with the private sector, with business, with community groups, right across the board. We don't want to divide. We don't want to point the finger between the haves and the have-nots and point the blame at anyone. We are dealing with significant economic challenges right now. Households are feeling it. There is no such thing as free money, Senator McKim. There is no such thing as free money going anywhere, that you can just do this and it will be just that. It doesn't work. We are dealing with these economic challenges that are thrown at us. We are in the first instance looking, as households are trying to find extra dollars, we are also looking across our budget at ways we can reprioritise and reinvest to deal with some of these cost of living pressures. But we're going to be honest about it. We're going to work across the community and business to make sure that we get these decisions right. And we're going to do what we said we were going to do before the election.
Senator Ciccone.
Thank you very much, President. And it gives me great pleasure to ask a question to the Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, Senator Watt. Minister, the emergence and rapid spread of foot and mouth disease in Indonesia has heightened public and industry interest. FMD is a potentially devastating threat to our economy and our industry and would cost billions of dollars. Can the Minister please outline to the Senate the biosecurity measures that have been strengthened and introduced in Australia by you and the Albanese government to protect Australia from an outbreak of foot and mouth disease?
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Minister Watt.
Thank you, Senator Ciccone. I know that agriculture in general, and particularly this outbreak, is something of great concern to you, so I appreciate you asking a question for the facts of the situation. The Albanese government is taking the threat of foot and mouth disease very seriously, and that is why we have introduced the toughest biosecurity measures that have ever been used in Australia, based on expert biosecurity advice. I am pleased to say that as a result of these measures, Australia remains foot and mouth disease free. You might not know that based on what you're hearing from the opposition, but we remain foot and mouth disease free. And long may it stay that way, because an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Australia would have a devastating impact on our economy and on the livelihoods of thousands of Australians. In direct response to the spread of foot and mouth disease to Indonesia, and in particular to Bali, we have strengthened biosecurity measures beyond those that were in place under the former government to protect Australia from a foot and mouth disease incursion. These include, for the first time ever, wide-scale deployment of sanitation foot mats in every international airport in Australia. For the first time ever, the declaration of biosecurity response zones in all Australian international airports. And these things have never been done by any Australian government, despite the fact that we currently have 70 foot and mouth disease outbreaks around the world. There are so many measures that I don't have time to go through them, but that is just a start on the types of things that we are doing, in addition to risk profiling 100% of passengers returning from Indonesia and screening all mail and freight items coming from Indonesia and China. So it's no surprise, President, that those strong measures have been backed in so strongly by the livestock industry. For instance, Jason Strong from Meat and Livestock Australia says the federal government's response to date has been very coordinated and collaborative. Patrick Hutchinson from the Australian Meat Industry Council has said AMIC is very supportive of the Australian government's measured response. Fiona Simpson from the NFS has said the same thing. There are innumerable comments from industry.
Your time has expired. Senator Ciccone, first supplementary.
Thank you very much, President. I really thank the Minister for that comprehensive and detailed answer to my question. My first supplementary. In addition to the recent outbreak in Indonesia, as you've also mentioned in your previous answer, Minister, can you please confirm, not just over the 70 countries around the world, but what assistance have you and this government provided to our friends and neighbours in Indonesia to assist them to manage the outbreak?
Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Foot and mouth disease obviously is heavily impacting Indonesia right now and its economy. And again, I might say that it was impacting Indonesia prior to the election of this government and prior to the introduction of the measures that we have put in place. With our assistance, with this government's assistance, Indonesian authorities are doing many things to get the outbreak under control. And on 15th of July, I announced a $14 million biosecurity package to bolster Australia's frontline defence and provide more technical support for countries currently battling foot and mouth disease and lumpy skin disease. Of course, that followed the visit that I undertook to Indonesia to meet with Indonesian ministers about how we could assist. Now again, it's no wonder then that so many industry representatives have praised the government for what we've done, and it's no wonder that so many industry representatives have criticised commentary about this issue, which has been more political than anything else. Ian McColl from the New South Wales Farmers Association says, I see some people out there using this outbreak as a weapon to further their own ends, and frankly it's pretty disappointing. I wonder who he could be talking about.
Thank you, Minister Watt. Senator Ciccone, second supplementary.
Thank you, President. It's very clear that foot-mouth disease, along with other pests and diseases, poses as a major risk to Australian agriculture. So my last question to the Minister today is, could you please outline to the Senate how the government's response to biosecurity threats differs from the previous government?
Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Senator Ciccone. Very, very good question. The Coalition are full of ideas now that they're in opposition, but when they were in power, they didn't implement any of the measures that we have put in place, despite the fact that this outbreak got to Indonesia on their watch. This government has done more on biosecurity in 9 weeks than that lot did in 9 years. Everyone from the National Farmers Federation to the Northern Territory Cattlemen's Association and AgForce in Queensland are supporting the government and criticising the opposition. As I say, Mr McColl had more to say. He said, Mr McColl from the New South Wales Farmers Association, farmers have argued for stronger, sustainably funded biosecurity system for years. For years. This isn't something that's just happened overnight. Fanning the flames of fear will not help one little bit. Who could be fanning the flames? I wonder who could be doing that. Oh, Deirdre Chambers. She's over there. He's over there. Every single person on the opposition benches is fanning the flames of concern, is letting down farmers and is endangering our international trade.
Your time has expired. Order, senators. I'm waiting to call Senator Lambie. Senator Lambie.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is for the Minister representing the Minister for Workplace Relations, Senator Watt. I'm just going to be really sensitive here. It is about domestic violence. My heart goes out to you people, but there will be questions that we need to ask to make sure that we can get these policy settings correct. Senator, respectfully, I want to know how your government's proposal to introduce 10 days domestic violence leave will work in practice. So my first question is this. Will employees have to tell their bosses that they are a victim of domestic violence in order to claim domestic violence leave?
Minister Watt.
Thanks, President, and thanks, Senator Lambie, for a really important question. I do realise that this is a very sensitive issue that frankly affects many people in this chamber, let alone the wider community. And I'm very proud of the fact that our government is introducing legislation to provide domestic and family violence leave for the first time in this country. It's something that many people have needed for a long time, and I'm proud that we have introduced that legislation, and I look forward to wide support of that legislation. As you would understand, I'm not the responsible minister, I am the representing minister, and I'm very happy to obtain specific answers to your questions. They're very valuable and worthwhile questions, and I don't want to give you the wrong information, but I'll provide you with that information as soon as I possibly can.
Thank you, Minister Watt. Senator Lambie.
Thank you, Madam President. Minister, it's common for employers to ask their workers to show a medical certificate for their sick leave. What evidence will employees have to give their employer to claim domestic violence leave?
Thank you, Senator Lambie. Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. And again, thank you, Senator Lambie. Again, I will have to come back to you with specific answers on those questions, not being the responsible minister. But I can assure you that this government does take the privacy of victims of domestic violence very seriously. I'm sure that Minister Burke, who's responsible for this legislation, has contemplated these issues and is working with stakeholders around them. I'll certainly encourage him to continue doing so. But again, if you wouldn't mind if I could come back with some specific answers to those questions for you.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Lambie, second supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. And lastly, will employees have to work in their job for a certain period of time before they can get access to that leave? And if so, how long?
Minister Watt.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Senator Lambie. Again, I'll need to take the detail of those questions on notice and come back to you as quickly as I can. If there's anything I can do as the repping minister to facilitate some further discussion with you and your team, I'd be more than happy to do so.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Nampijinpa Rice, I believe this is your first question. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is to the Minister representing the Minister for Social Services, Senator Farrell. The sites of the current CDC income support programs were put in place at the request of the communities in which they operate. Can the Minister advise which of these communities and their community leaders were consulted by the Minister prior to the Labor Party making the decision to scrap the cashless debit card, and which of these leaders and communities supported that decision?
Thank you, Senator Nampijinpa Rice. Minister Farrell.
I thank the Senator for her question, and note that it is her first question, and good luck for your time here in the Senate. This has been an issue that the government has been dealing with, and particularly the Minister for Social Securities, Amanda Rishworth. And of course, legislation was introduced into the Parliament, the lower house, earlier this week, to end the process of the cashless debit card. Well, I'll take that interjection, Senator Lambie, because I am aware that the Minister did in fact consult very widely to all of the communities.
Order.
Well, I'm trying to answer. You've interjected, Senator Lambie, and I'm trying to answer the question as you've interjected. I'm personally aware of a number of visits that Minister Rishworth took to these communities. I can personally tell you that in South Australia, Madam Deputy President, Madam President, yes, change there, that Minister Rishworth visited Sejuna in South Australia. I'm aware, and she talked to the community there about these issues.
Please resume your seat.
Sorry.
Senator Ruston.
Madam President, on a point of order in relation to relevance, the question was very specific about the consultations that had taken place before the decision that was made, and I would ask the senator to make sure that when he is responding to that question that he doesn't mislead the Senate, because I believe he may be referring to consultations or engagements that occurred after the decision was made.
Thank you, Senator Ruston. I'll remind Minister Farrell of the question, and Senator Nampijinpa Price, beg your pardon, asked which communities requested coming off the CDC and which communities were consulted. Thank you, Minister Farrell.
Well, look, I want to be clear that those discussions that took place did take place after the election, but they took place...
Thank you, Senator Farrell. Minister Farrell, the time has expired. Senator Nampijinpa Price, first supplementary.
Will the government guarantee that the rates of crime, including domestic violence, child neglect and alcohol and drug-fuelled violence, will not increase after the removal of this important social support program?
Thank you, Senator Nampijinpa Price. Minister Farrell.
Thank you. Thank the senator for her question. Look, there obviously are serious issues in a range of communities in this country. But what we know from the evidence of the 17,000 or so people who were on the cashless debit card was that it wasn't solving the problems that it was alleged. It wasn't solving the problems. It wasn't solving the problems that it was alleged to be fixed by this cashless debit card. Now, Labor could not have been clearer. The Labor Party, Senator, could not have been clearer about what its policy was in the lead up to the last election. We made...
Minister Farrell, please resume your seat. Senator Birmingham.
President, point of order on direct relevance. The question wasn't asking what the government's policy was prior to the election. The question was specific about the consequences of the legislation the government has introduced for the abolition of the cashless debit card, and specifically asking the minister whether or not the government can give a guarantee that the rates of crime, domestic violence, child neglect, etc., will not increase.
Thank you, Senator Birmingham. As you are aware, I can't direct a minister to answer a question, and certainly Minister Farrell did talk about the evidence of proof and so on, so he was, in my view, being relevant to the question, and I would ask Minister Farrell to continue.
Thank you, Madam President. Look, the reality is that there was no evidence whatsoever that the cashless debit card
Thank you, Minister Farrell. Your time has expired. Senator Nampijinpa Price, second supplementary.
Thank you, Madam President. Is the government intending to remove compulsory income management from the Northern Territory?
Thank you, Senator Nampijinpa Price. Minister Farrell.
No.
Thank you, Minister Farrell. You've completed your answer. Senator Babet, I believe this is also your first question. Congratulations.
Yes, it is. Thank you, President. My question is to the Minister representing the Treasurer, Senator Gallagher. Can the Minister update the Senate on what the government is going to do to reduce the $963 billion of national debt?
Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and I thank Senator Babet for the question and for his first question in this place. The Senator is right to point out that we face significant challenge managing the almost $1 trillion, it'll hit $1 trillion next financial year, of Liberal debt that has been left for this government to manage. Well, it is true. It is true. $1 trillion.
Order.
$1 trillion of Liberal debt.
Order.
$1 trillion of Liberal debt that is left on the budget to manage debt going out into the future. And whilst those opposite would like to say that this is all a result of the pandemic,
Senator Ayres.
The former government had doubled the debt before the pandemic hit. Let's not forget that. Their fiscal vandals had done the damage before the pandemic hit, and now we are all going to be paying the price for it. And the cost of servicing that debt is increasing and increasing rapidly. And we've seen the latest figures from the Treasurer that some of that cost of servicing debt is going to exceed programs paid for that pay currently on childcare subsidy, higher education, those types of programs run by the Commonwealth Government. The cost of servicing debt is going to exceed those. That's the situation we're in, and that's why the work we're doing, Senator Babbitt, through going through the budget line by line to see where sensible savings can be made so that we can reduce that debt over time. It is one of the key challenges facing us as we work through the Expenditure Review Committee to make sure that we can deal with some of those challenges over time, and servicing debt and managing the debt is a really important part of strong, responsible budget management.
Minister Gallagher. Senator Babbitt, first supplementary, sorry.
Thank you, President. Inflation has just risen to a horrifying figure of 6.1%, absolutely huge. Now, the cost of electricity is a component of CPI. What is the government's plan to reduce the cost of electricity?
Minister Gallagher.
Thank you very much, and I thank the senator for the question. The Labor government went to the last election with a plan known as Powering Australia plan that involved setting up Rewiring Australia, which is a fund. Well, we have to modernise the grid. I won't interject to Senator Rennick, but in case he hasn't noticed, we need to work out how to get more renewables into the grid so that we can lower power prices, something that you guys failed to do over years and years. We need to grab the opportunities that come, that are going to come with modernising the electricity grid so that it can take in more renewables, good for lowering our emissions and lowering power prices. The cheapest energy is renewable energy, and we can't get it into the grid. We can't get it into the grid because you guys did nothing. So that is what we'll do.
Thank you, Senator Gallagher. Your time has expired. Order. Order. These are Senator Babbitt, Senator Brown. I'll call all senators to order. This is Senator Babbitt's first set of questions. He has the right to ask them in silence and hear the answers in silence. Second supplementary, Senator Babbitt.
The RBA has increased the cash rate, which has triggered an increase in home loan rates. What is the government's plan to help the millions of Australians who will experience hardship as a result of not being able to meet their ever-increasing mortgage repayments?
Thank you, Senator Babbitt. Minister Gallagher.
Thank you, and I thank the senator for the question. And it's an important question because it's about how households manage with increasing costs, not just from mortgages, but from going to the shops, filling their car up. The prices of everything is going up. The areas that we think we can make the most difference as a government, obviously there's the short-term additional payments that were made through the former government's budget, which are still going through the system. But where we believe that the most responsible investments can be made to support households so that they can manage some of these costs are by trying to lower power prices, lower childcare costs, getting wages moving, and dealing with some of the supply chain blockages and disruption that we've seen. That's actually the areas where we as a government can make a difference. I think everybody understands the challenges that people are facing and that they can't be fixed overnight, but we're a responsible government that's going to make those investments to help over the longer term.
Thank you, Senator Gallagher. Senator Marielle Smith.
My question is to the Minister for Trade, Senator Farrell. Australian exporters are struggling with the combined impact of 10 years of neglect on the world stage and the additional challenges of the pandemic. Can the Minister advise how the newly announced Export Supply Chain Service will help our Australian food and beverage exporters navigate some of these challenges?
Minister Farrell.
Thank you, President, and I thank Senator Smith for that question, one of the very many good young women on this side of the chamber. There's no doubt, President, that some Australian exporters have done it really tough as a result of the neglect by the previous government, the worsening conditions during the pandemic, as well as Russia's terrible war on the Ukraine. Exporters are critical to our economy and they deserve a government who will stand with them and ensure that they get the support they need to thrive. To this end, last week in Brisbane, I announced the establishment of a new service to help Australian food and beverage exporters navigate global supply chains. One of the biggest ongoing challenges for Australian exporters is getting their produce into international customers. Over the past few years, the freight environment has irreversibly changed. There's no doubt that the supply chains we see today are very different from the supply chains that we saw prior to the pandemic. To help these exporters navigate these complexities, the Australian Government has established the Export Supply Chain Service. Under this new service, Australian exporters, states, territory governments, industry bodies will have access to information and insights on supply chain issues. It'll give Australian exporters, Madam President, the information and the insights that they need to inform their decision-making and navigate what has become very complex supply chain issues. Throughout the pandemic, many Australian businesses have demonstrated ingenuity and grit in response to ongoing trade disruptions. With the aid of the Australian Government,
Thank you,
they'll
Minister
continue
Farrell.
to do
Your time
so.
has expired. Senator Marielle Smith, first supplementary.
As we work to restore our international reputation, what is the Minister hearing from Australian exporters and businesses about how the new service will support their recovery?
Thank you, Senator Smith. Minister Farrell.
Thank you, Senator Smith, for that question. And Madam President, I was fortunate. I was fortunate enough last week to attend the Brisbane markets, and lovely set of markets, and visit a company called J.H. Levy. This is a company that exports a whole range of produce overseas. In fact, you'd like to know this, Senator Birmingham, I in fact saw them exporting some navel oranges from Waikerie into the China. Senator Ruston approves. This little company working out of the Brisbane markets exports all over the world, and like all of the other companies that export these great Australian products, they've been suffering through this pandemic.
Thank you, Minister Farrell. Your time has expired. Please resume your seat. Second supplementary, Senator Marielle Smith.
Yes.
Order. Senator Smith.
Can the Minister advise what other actions the Albanese government is taking to facilitate and support trade opportunities for Australian businesses after a decade of inaction?
Minister Farrell.
Thanks, Senator Smith, for her question, and again congratulate her for taking an interest in trade, which the opposite side don't seem to be at all interested in. But the Albanese government is supporting Australian businesses because, well, let's talk about wine exports. You completely let down every single exporter of wine in this country. Let me tell you. And one of the reasons you lost this last election because you didn't understand what you were doing to Australian exporters in meat, in crayfish, in wine, in barley. None of those industries got any support from this government. But we are committed We are committed to repairing the damage that you did to this country, to those exporters, and we're going to do it.
Thank you, Senator Farrell. Order. Minister Wong.
I'd like to move an extension, but instead I will say I ask that further questions be placed on notice.
Thank you, Senator.